Yes, it's Russia.
It's time to play the game.
Be a tiebreaker if needed for the person who gets to pick last. But we're going to start off in the East region. The top overall seed for the 16th time, passing Kansas for first all-time on that list. The champions of the ACC, the 32-2 top-seeded Duke Blue Devils, taking on the champions of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference at 23-11, making their first appearance since 2010, looking for their first tournament win since 2000. Steve, we're going to start with you. Who you got?
You know, I love my underdog stories. I do. We had several recently that blew everybody's bracket out of the water immediately. I think Siena's a good team. Duke is obviously much better. I'm taking Duke on this one. Not by a mile, like everybody may think, but it'll be Duke at the end.
Carter, your Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the hype around thinking a 16 seed is going to sneak up on a team, especially like Duke. You know, Duke has been known to blow some games in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament in their history. But I don't think this year is the – shout out who? Which one?
Shout out Mercer.
Yeah, there's
Mercer.
I mean, yeah, there's Mercer, there's Lehigh. I mean, there's a handful there that you could name. But I just don't think this year is that year. Duke, comfortable win here. I think Siena might put up a fight, but it'll be a ride for the Blue Devils.
Nate, where do you stand on this one?
Well, shout out to the Siena. Shout out to the season making it to the tournament. Obviously, everyone, I would love to see an upset here, but I don't think this is not going to happen, I don't think. Unfortunately for Siena, got Duke going on.
So that is a 3-0 start, which means Duke will advance. Asher, I presume you're picking Duke. I am too.
Yeah. We don't have to waste much time talking about.
In their fifth straight tournament appearance, Duke moves on to the second round.
Yep.
Now, next up, we have our 8-9 matchup in the East region, starting it off with the 8 seed, the 21-12 Ohio State Buckeyes, the at-large team out of the Big Ten, taking on an at-large team out of the Big 12, the 22-11 TCU Horned Frogs. For Ohio State, it's their first appearance since 2022, and for TCU, it's their first appearance since 2024. Asher, we're going to start with you this time.
Well, according to a metric I saw earlier today, Ohio State is one of the top 10 teams in the country in terms of their recent offensive and defensive output combined. They're a hot team right now. And while I think they're going to run into a buzzsaw in the second round, I think they can handle TCU, who's kind of been up and down throughout the season. I think they're a good team who put up some good fights against a very stacked Big 12. So even making it to the tournament from that conference is big. But I think Ohio State's playing really good basketball right now, so they will advance.
Nate, who you got?
Well, this game is going to be two teams of different kind of situations. Ohio State is an offense that relies heavily on the top of the roster, as the top 4 players in scoring make up 75% of the team's points, with Bruce Thornton and John Mobley being the front line of that attack. While TCU relies on a more balanced attack, having 7 players score 8+ points per game, while also having a pesky defense. However, I think TCU's lack of an actual threat on the offensive side of the ball. Meanwhile, Ohio State has Bruce Thornton. I think that's enough for Ohio State to move on and face Duke in the second round.
Carter, who you got?
These 8-9 seed matchups always really kind of throw me for a loop every single year. And looking into both of these teams and kind of seeing how their seasons have panned out, I think Ohio State has really been on a really good run lately. But whenever I look at these teams, like kind of notable games in their schedule, Ohio State is always coming up short of winning those big games. TCU has a couple big notable wins over the Florida Gators. They beat Iowa State. They even knocked off Texas Tech. And that's maybe some of their only notable wins of the season. But Ohio State has really just not been able to compete with some of those higher level teams. double-digit losses to Michigan, a 4-point loss to Virginia, really not bad. They did knock off Wisconsin and sneak up behind Purdue, the Big Ten champions. But I'm going to go TCU here. I think that the Horned Frogs are really going to come out hot, and I think that the 9 seeds are kind of slept on in this first round.
Okay. I know where my head is at with it, and I am with Carter on this one for the same exact reason. The big wins over Florida, Texas Tech, Iowa State. It's all about winning big games in March. So we are at a 2-2 deadlock in just our second game. Steven, are you going to go with your home state Buckeyes, or are you going to go with the team that has proven that they can win the big games?
So here's the thing. I have my idea in my head, but what I want to gain from a lot of these matchups that I'm kind of looking at here is, and this can be for everybody, if their star player is pulled, do they lose? If their star guy is out, do they lose? I think if Ohio State's star guy is out or has an off night, they lose. I hate it. I really do. I'm taking TCU on this one.
Okay. TCU takes it 3-2 in that one. Okay, our next matchup, the 5 seed, the champions of the Big East Conference at 28-6, the St. John's Storm, taking on the 12 seed, the champions of the Missouri Valley Conference, the 23-12 Northern Iowa Panthers. Steven, you're going to start this one off.
Well, I'm going to make this very easy for my pick. I saw somebody run the entire March Madness bracket through ChatGPT and had Northern Iowa go to the Final Four. I am going to cut that off right here and pick St. John's off the jump.
All right, Asher.
St. John's comes out of a very weak Big East as the conference winners out of that conference tournament. They're coached well. I like UNI as a team, but I think this is a bad matchup for them in terms of pulling the upset. So give me the Johnnies.
Nate.
Northern Iowa has a great defense, and a defense that can, given the right matchup, could make one of these games an actual game. However, lacking an actual real offense or a go-to scorer, I think the game will start off semi-close for a while, but I think St. John's ends up running away with it after a while. I got St. John's.
Carter.
I'm rolling with Rick Pitino here.
This is going to be a clean sweep for St. John's. St. John, their second consecutive appearance. To note, though, for later on when we work our way through this bracket, they have not advanced past the first weekend since 1999 when they made the Elite Eight. Northern Iowa, on the other hand, this is their first appearance in the tournament since 2016. They are winners of their last 3 first-round games, including upsets over Texas and UNLV. So keep that in mind with Northern Iowa. All right, next up, we have the 4 seed, an at-large out of the Big 12, the 23-10 Kansas Jayhawks, taking on the champions of the Western Athletic Conference, the 25-8 Cal Baptist Lancers. For Cal Baptist, it's their first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament. In Kansas, they have missed the tournament. And prior to last year's loss to Arkansas, they had not lost in the first round since 2006. I'm going to make this easy. Darren Peterson, one of the best freshman guards in the country. I'm going with Kansas. And we're going to go to Carter.
I'm going to roll with Kansas as well. The 4-13, I think, are one of the more one-sided matchups that you kind of see throughout the tournament.
Nate.
I'm going with Kansas. I mean, the Cal Baptist has themselves an uphill battle.
Steve.
Yeah, just got. Yeah.
I think it's Kansas again. I think, and this will be for later as well in the tournament, I think Kansas gets cut off earlier than they want to be, but they make it past Cal Baptist right here.
Asher, is it a clean sweep for Kansas?
It is. They're a very confusing team, but they've got one of the best players individually in this tournament. So if he's firing, no matter what, it's enough to beat Cal Baptist, the least overall picked team to win the national championship across all brackets.
Ooh. Okay. Next up, we have the 6th seed and at-large out of the ACC, the 23-10 Louisville Cardinals, making their second consecutive appearance. Though having lost their last 3 first-round games, they take on the 11 seed, the champions of the American Athletic Conference, the 25-8 South Florida Bulls, making their first appearance in the tournament since 2012. And in 2012, they won their first 4-game and their first-round game. We're going to start it off with Nate on this one.
Okay. Well, this matchup features one of my teams that was in my Cinderella team article. And well, USF, I think, has the makings to go on a run in this tournament. They are top. They are near top of the top in almost every statistical category on offense. They are pesky on defense when it comes to steals. They got great personnel to match up with mostly anybody. And the most crucial part of the matchup, Markel Brown for Louisville is not playing in this matchup. And Louisville is noticeably worse without Markel Brown. Rightfully so, as he's one of the top prospects in this upcoming draft. And so with that, I got USF upsetting Louisville and moving on to the second round.
Steve, who you got?
For the exact same reason Nate just said, we're watching exactly what I was saying a couple games ago live. We yank their best player, they lose. This is a USF win for me.
Carter.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this one, and kind of just say I understand that the absence of Brown Jr. is going to be a loss to this Louisville team, but I want to be the guy to kind of say I don't want to overthink this pick, and I think that Louisville has been a very strong team throughout the year, and that they still have the rest of that team around them to be able to take down an 11 seed South Florida squad. So I'm gonna roll with Louisville.
Asher, are you going to put me in a tiebreaker spot, or are you taking the Bulls?
This is a tricky one. I've been kind of in my personal bracket. This has been one I've gone back and forth on a lot. Louisville relies a lot on the jump shot. They're going to need shots to fall, and that's the thing about being a jump shooting team. Your shots are either falling and you're winning games, or they're not falling and you're losing games. It sounds very simple, but it's going to be what determines this matchup. I think Louisville's got the better talent. Yeah, give me Louisville. I'll put you in the tricky spot, Clay.
Well, we have been pretty much all chalk. I consider 8-9 matchups to be toss-ups anyways. We're going to spring our first upset of the tournament. I've been riding South Florida. I think Nate brings up a really good point there. I think, South Florida is probably the strongest 11 seed in this tournament. I know there's some debate there to be had depending upon what happens in the first round game tonight, or the first 4 game tonight. But I think South Florida's the best 11 seed in this tournament. I'm not so sure that I'm buying a deep run for them. That might spoil the next round for you with my pick there. But South Florida is a team that is capable of springing the upset, and I'm not even sure that I would qualify this as an upset, actually, based on my view. So I'm going to go with South Florida there. Next matchup, we have the 3 seed, an at-large out of the Big Ten, the 25-7 Michigan State Spartans, taking on the champions of the Summit League, the 27-7, the 14 seed North Dakota State Bison. Michigan State has not missed the tournament since 1997, though in recent years they have been very Jekyll and Hyde. North Dakota State, this is their first appearance since 2019, and their only tournament win ever was in 2014 over the 5 seed Oklahoma. We're going to start with Asher on this one.
Say it with me. January, February, Izzo, April. We're going to advance Michigan State here. No, shout out to North Dakota State making the tournament, but we having actually their winningest season in school history, but still, give me Sparty.
And I am going to be with Asher on that, and I'm going to take Michigan State, if not to spoil what I said just a few minutes ago. Steve, is it going to be a 3-0 start for the Spartans?
It is, unfortunately. Michigan State has 2, albeit a very flawed March Madness tournament time when they've historically been in the tournament. It's not going to start here. They will not fall to North Dakota State.
Carter, Michigan
Wrong.
State?
Yeah.
Nate, is it a clean sweep for the Spartans?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have another tight one here. It's the 7 seed, the at-large out of the Big Ten, the 23-11 UCLA Bruins, taking on the at-large out of the Big 12, the 21-11 Central Florida Knights. For UCLA, this is their second consecutive appearance. While missing in 2019 and 2024, Bruins have not lost first-round games since 2018 when they lost to St. Bonaventure in the first 4. For UCF, this is their first appearance since 2019, which consequently is also the only year they've ever won a tournament game. I'm going to start this one off. I think Mick Cronin is out to prove something in this game. I don't care if Donovan Dent and Tyler Bilodeau are out for this game. It doesn't matter to me. I think they're a better team than UCF. I think they've been better tested this year. I'm taking the 7 seed UCLA in this one. Steven, you're next.
Yeah, UCLA seems like the better ball team to me, even though UCF greats like Taco Fall come to mind. There are even more UCLA ones. I'm taking UCLA as well. I think they've got UCF on lock. We'll see if they run into a buzzsaw in the next round, but it's UCLA for this one.
Asher, would you like to play contrarian here?
No, I'm not. I am pretty high on this UCLA team. Like you, Clay, I think they got something to prove, and I think they're going to start it out here in this game. One little note, though, UCLA struggles in games on the East Coast, and this game is in Philadelphia. So just something to take note of, but I think they take care of business against the Knights.
Nate, who's your pick in this one?
It's simple. UCLA is hot. UCF is cold right now. UCLA freezes UCF season and moves on to the second round.
Is this back-to-back sweeps, Carter?
Absolutely, I think so. A lot for the same reasons that you said. I think UCLA's just faced a lot tougher competition this year, and out of the notable wins that they have, I think they've beaten some better opponents than UCF has. So we'll sweep this one as well.
In completing the East region, the 2 seed, the at-large out of the Big East, the 29-5 UConn Huskies making their 6th consecutive appearance, taking on the champions of the Southern Conference, the 15 seed, 22-12 Furman Paladins, returning to the big dance for the first time since 2023, which is the same year they upset Virginia. And believe it or not, they made it to the Sweet 16 way back in 1974. And we're going to start with Carter on this one.
Man, I hope UConn Egg comes out here and just puts a beat down on Furman, purely out of spite that I'm still so mad that I'm watching ETSU lose in SoCon Conference Championships.
Yeah, look, this Furman team is a really solid team, I think. And, you know, they had some injuries this year that may have prevented them from winning the regular season in the Southern Conference. I know ETSU was a really good team this year. We're all ETSU grads, or soon to be ETSU grads, in the case of the one down there in the bottom left, Mr. Asher Moore. That'll be soon. But this Furman team has been really solid this year. I feel like they earned their way to the tournament with a win over ETSU in the Southern Conference title game. It's UConn, though. They've been really, really good lately. They won back-to-back national titles in 23 and 24. Dan Hurley may be the best coach in college basketball as it sits right now. I can't pick against him. It's UConn. Nate, who you got?
Well, I mean, yeah, Furman has a solid squad. They were healthier, they may be a little higher seeded, but it's UConn. So it's kind of simple that UConn.
Asher.
I'd love to pick a Southern Conference team to advance, and I think, like Nate said, if Furman would have been healthy this year, they would have been a little bit higher seeded. I think, like you said, Clay, I think they would have outright won the Southern Conference regular season if they didn't have the injury issues. But, I mean, Alex Wilkins, a scary guard. The Bowser brothers are something as well to watch out for in this game. But I think UConn is built for this kind of tournament. They've still got some experience on that team, and I think they take care of the 15 seed as much as I'd love to. I mean, it pains me to say root for Furman and expect them to win, but I don't think they can pull this big of an upset off. So I'm going with the Huskies.
Okay, moving on to the South region. The top seed and at-large out of the SEC, the 26-7 defending national champions, the Florida Gators, taking on the 16 seed, the champions of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, the 18-17 Prairie View A&M Panthers, via their win over the Lehigh Mountain Hawks at 18-16, the winners of the Patriot League. as this game is just now going final pretty much. There's 51 seconds left. Prairie View leads at 64-51. We expect it to be Prairie View A&M against Florida. I'm going to make this one simple, guys. I really don't think that any of us are picking Prairie View here. This has got to be Florida for all of us,
It's
right?
Florida all the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, this one gets really, really interesting. Our 8-9 matchup in the South region, the 8 seed, the at-large out of the ACC, the 24-10 Clemson Tigers making their third consecutive appearance. An Elite 8 run 2 years ago, upset by McNeese last year, taking on the 9 seed, the at-large out of the Big Ten, the 21-12 Iowa Hawkeyes making their first appearance in the tournament since 2023. They have not won a first-round game since 2021 and have not gotten out of the first weekend since 1999. We're going to start things off with our resident Clemson Tigers fan, Asher. What you got?
Oh, man. I mean, this is an opportunity to kind of end what has been a year of misery since that McNeese State game last year. Iowa's sneaky good, though. They're coming from the Big Ten, which was a tough, kind of top-heavy but tough conference this year. So this isn't an easy matchup by any means, and Clemson will be without Fleming, one of our better defenders, with the unfortunate ACL tear from the ACC tournament. But I think that Clemson has got to put a lot of the monsters to bed from last season's tournament in this game. I think it's a good opportunity too. So I'm going to go with Clemson to take down Iowa and have the pleasure of getting to deal with Florida in the next round.
Steven, there are two options on the table. Are you picking up the Big Ten hat or are you picking up the ACC hat?
It entirely depends on our NBA potentially lottery pick, Bennett Sturts. Does he have enough in the tank to beat Clemson? I think he does. I think he can beat Clemson. I'm taking Iowa for this one.
All right, Nate, you're up.
This one kind of feels like a bit of a coin toss flip, if you will. Both teams are kind of cold coming in here. Both teams play similar style of play, but I'm going to go with Clemson on this one.
Carter, are you going to put me in a 50-50 here, or what's your call?
My gut's really telling me Clemson here. For the same reasons that I kind of had earlier, looking at Iowa's past, they have some pretty ugly losses to some of the better teams in their conference. Not to say, no offense, Asher, that Clemson doesn't have any ugly losses in their conference, but they also have some very close losses against out-of-conference teams like BYU and Alabama. Lost to BYU by 3, lost to Alabama by 6. Just something's really calling me here. I just feel like Clemson is going to know how to win the big game.
And Asher, you can rest well knowing that it would have been 4-1 Clemson in this one. I would have taken Clemson if put in the tiebreaker scenario there. Moving on, the 5 seed in the South region, and at-large out of the SEC, the runners-up of the SEC, the 26-8 Vanderbilt Commodores, their second consecutive appearance, though they have not won a tournament game since 2012. Taking on the 12 seed, the champions of the Southland Conference, the 28-5 McNeese Cowboys, making their third consecutive appearance. And they got their first ever NCAA tournament win against the aforementioned Clemson Tigers last year. I'll go ahead and start this one out. This is such a fun matchup, and I sat on this one for a long time. And, I could really see this one going either way. I just don't know that I feel like McNeese has we knew that McNeese was a high-flying team the last couple years. They won their conference. I'm not so sure their conference is all that strong to begin with. And I think with what they've built the last couple years, that it's really going to be hard for teams in that conference to break the McNeese stronghold. And I know Vandy hasn't won a game since 2012 in the NCAA tournament. I don't think that matters. I think this is very clearly the best team that Vanderbilt has ever had. They started the year, 24-0? I might be wrong on those figures, but they were at least 20-plus games in before they took their first loss. I'm going with Vanderbilt here. I think they're a really strong 5 seed this year. I like the Commodores. Steven, where's your head at with this one?
This may be a discussion for later, but we need to determine at some point how many aura points that Amir Khan truly has. I don't think he has enough to beat Vanderbilt. He did take an NIL deal with another team before crawling back. I can't do that. I can't do it. This is Vanderbilt win written all over it.
Asher, are you seeing shades of blue and gold from last year and riding the McNeese wave this year after they beat your Tigers? Or is Vanderbilt going to get the 3-0 start?
Vanderbilt does America a favor and sends that boom box carrying buffoon. And the thing is dead. Come on, you transferred to NC State, then came back, and it's just the bit was cool for like a couple games. I found it stupid last year. I find it even more stupid this year. And maybe I'm a hater because they beat Clemson last year, but I hope that Vanderbilt wins this game by 45 points. I hope it's ugly.
That is 100% the case. He doesn't care if they win by 2. He just wants Amir Khan to get a basketball directly to the face.
I want him to get an Indeed.com membership right now. Get him.
Carter, are you springing the upset in this one, or are you rolling Vandy?
No, I'm rolling Vandy. I'm going to be very grateful I'm not going to have to see that same guy in the round of 32. Plus, I've been very, very impressed with Vanderbilt this year. As you said, one of the best team Vanderbilt has had in their school's history. I think they can go on a run in this tournament. We'll see how deep we kind of have them going in our bracket.
Nate, are you pulling the McNeese upset?
I do, but I want to say this. Watch out for Duke Miles. I think Duke Miles could have himself a DJ Burns kind of run this tourney.
Okay.
I really like what I've seen out of him. He's named to watch.
Okay, moving on. The 4 seed, at large out of the Big Ten, the 26-6 Nebraska Cornhuskers taking on the champions of the Sun Belt Conference, 22-11. 12 seed, the Troy Trojans. Nebraska making their second appearance in 3 seasons. They have never won an NCAA tournament game before. For Troy, it's their second consecutive appearance, and they too have never won an NCAA tournament game before. So somebody's going to get their first NCAA tournament win. Nate, who gets it?
Some matchups are based off vibes, and this vibe. I mean, Nebraska just feels like a team of destiny with this matchup. They have, like you said, they have not won a game yet in the tournament. I just think that ends this year. I got Nebraska and moving on just based off destiny, if anything.
Asher, I feel like you've been all chalk so far. Are you going to stay chalky with this one?
I am, and I hate to be kind of a enthusiast of the chalk, but that's just where the NIL landscape is moving college basketball, at least for the first round. It'd be cool to see Nebraska not get the win just because, I like making jokes about the failures of other teams. But I think they get it done against Troy and get a big first win for their basketball program.
Steve, are you going to be the one to spring the upset for the Troy Trojans?
I can't do it. I can't do it, guys. This is Nebraska's first win. The seeds are 2 separate. The teams are 2 Mo Betta. Nebraska takes this one.
Carter, are you a clean sweep for Nebraska?
I am not.
Okay.
I don't. I sat down on this matchup a lot, and I think it's just because how heavily Nebraska is kind of favored in this. I think these are both teams with a lot to play for, and one thing that it comes down to in March is it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about any part of your season except that one game. And I think Troy really has the potential to kind of sneak up on Nebraska here and spoil their hopefully homecoming of their first NCAA win or tournament win with one of their own.
All right, we've got a fun matchup on deck. The 6th seed, the at-large out of the ACC, the 24-8 North Carolina Tar Heels making their 3rd consecutive appearance. They last missed the tournament in 2023, and they will be missing star freshman Caleb Wilson in this game as they take on the 11th seed, the champions of the Atlantic 10 Conference at 27-7, making their 3rd appearance in 4 seasons. The VCU Rams who have not won a first-round game since 2016. This is an interesting matchup that I'm going to start with Nate.
Okay. VCU is another team that was featured in my Cinderella article, and it is a cool little nugget. This is the first time that they have been an 11 seed since their 2011 run, where they went all the way to the Final Four. And well, I think they take advantage of the future top 5 pick, most likely in Caleb Williams' absence, and VCU moves on to the second round.
Okay, I'm going to go next. VCU is a very popular upset pick, and North Carolina is without one of their star players. It feels way too good to be true. North Carolina is very steady in situations like this. When they're not that they were on the bubble this year, but when they are a question team, they make it happen. I'm going to even us up. I'm taking North Carolina in this one, and I'm going to force the early tie to be broken by the number one North Carolina hater in this chat. Carter, what you got?
Oh, my mouth watered when I looked at this matchup. Whenever the bracket first came out, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna sound like a hater here, and I am a Duke fan. Whatever, this, that, and the other. I do not think this team is that good without Caleb Wilson. I just don't. They've had some really ugly games in their season. Caleb Wilson has missed a little bit of time with some other injuries already this season. And VCU is hungry, I think. They're a team that we see year in and year out in this tournament trying to scrape out a win early in the round of 64. And I really just think they come out here and knock the horns off the Tar Heels.
I am going to force Asher to break this tie. Asher, I know you go through these tournaments like a fine-tooth comb. Are you with me on this notion that it feels too good to be true for VCU? Or is the resentment of North Carolina as a Clemson fan going to be enough for you to take the Rams to pull the upset? Where are you at?
Well, I got to kind of have a mini heart attack last week because of this North Carolina team out. Obviously, Clemson goes up 18 in their matchup in the ACC tournament and then kind of blows the lead. Ended up being just a 1-point win for Clemson. But that showed me enough to see that this North Carolina team isn't giving up yet. They're not just throwing in the towel because, their best players out. I still think they have enough. Now, if this gets into kind of a 3-point shooting dependent game, it can get tricky for North Carolina. But I think they take care of business, at least in round 1, and take down the Rams.
Steven, it now becomes your decision.
I'm going to go by my theory. You yank out the best player, they're clearly worse. I'm going VCU. We're going to have our first upset. We're going against the chalk on this one. VCU takes down number 6, North Carolina. It might not be everybody's favorite pick. That may make us end up looking very stupid, but I want to be right somewhere.
Okay. Moving on to the next matchup, we have the 3 seed, the at-large out of the Big Ten, the 24-8 Illinois Fighting Illini, making their 6th consecutive appearance. They've won their first-round game in all 5 of those years except for 2023, and they are 5-0 this decade as a 6 seed or higher. They are a 3 seed this year. They take on the 14 seed, the champions of the Ivy League, the 18-11 Penn Quakers, making their first appearance since 2018. They have not won a first-round game since beating Nebraska in 1994, but TJ Power has this Penn team humming. Carter, do you like the 14-3 upset?
Oh, gosh. I just picked TJ Power as my superstar player of the week on our recent post, and I really am riding high on this guy going into the NCAA tournament, but Illinois has been playing some really good basketball. And I think it's some basketball that you're not seeing in the Ivy League conference. So I'm going to roll with Illinois on this one.
Nate, is Penn one of your teams that you're looking at to spring an upset?
Even though Penn does have a veteran head coach and Finn McCaffrey at the helm, I just think Illinois' extremely efficient offense is too much for Penn, and I think Illinois is safe and they move on.
All right, Steve, you got an upset here?
I don't. This is an Illinois win. I think TJ Power and the Quakers would have gotten the upset nod if they maybe played literally anyone else. If they had played anybody under a 3 seed, they would have beaten them. I think Illinois was the wrong team to play in the first round. I think Illinois gets this one off of a very good game from TJ Power, but not enough to beat Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, this is their 6th consecutive appearance. They've won their first round game in all 5 years except for 2023. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's Illinois for me. Asher, you got a clean sweep here?
Yeah, Illinois very heavy in the foreign player market, but I think that's going to help them. They're a very talented, tough team. I think Illinois can start a little tournament run with a win here. Shout out.
All right,
TJ.
Next up, the 7 seed at-large out of the West Coast Conference, the 27-5 St. Mary's Gales, making their 5th consecutive appearance. They are 3-1 in their last 4 first-round games, including that loss to Grand Canyon in 2024. And they take on the 10 seed, the at-large out of the SEC, the 21-11 Texas A&M Aggies, making their 4th consecutive appearance. And they have won back-to-back first-round games. And I don't want it to happen, but I'm going to start us off here. They're going to win 3 in a row just because Bucky McMillan's going to make me hate him even more. I got the Aggies in this one. Asher, does your hate run deep for Bucky McMillan like mine does?
It does. Thankful that we don't have to deal with Bucky ball anymore in the SoCon, but I think they're going to get done. You called me out for not picking the upsets earlier. I guess the 7-10s are in a way toss-up games as well, in my opinion. But I'll kind of call my first upset of the day here. Bucky ball advances. St. Mary's does not.
Steven, are we advancing the 10 seed on a 3-0 start here?
We sure are. Texas A&M has got the build of a very sneaky team in this tournament. I think Texas A&M is going to surprise people, and that surprise starts by taking down St. Mary's in the first round.
Carter, are you with Texas A&M on this one?
I am. I'm going to go with the SEC ball here. I'm just really not impressed with St. Mary's schedule. And the one SEC team that they did face was, I will give them, a very good Vanderbilt team, but they lost by like 15. So I just really think the power of strength of schedule comes into effect here.
Nate, clean sweep for A&M.
I just think the offense is just too much for St. Mary's defense.
Okay, and finishing up here in the South region, the 2 seed, the Houston Cougars, the at-large out of the Big 12 at 28-6, taking on the 15 seed, the champions of the Big Sky, the 21-14 Idaho Vandals. Houston, of course, the runners-up from a year ago. This is their 8th consecutive appearance, and they have not lost a first-round game in that stretch. For Idaho, this is their first appearance since 1990. Their only tournament win ever was in 1982. Steven, do we like Idaho to pull an upset of all upsets here?
And boy, do I feel bad for them. This should be a Houston clean sweep. Very sorry, Idaho. Glad you made it. You ran right into the first true buzzsaw of this tournament. Houston should win by a decent amount.
Okay, so are any of us going to pick Idaho? Because I'm going to just springboard off of what Steven said, because I'm picking Houston.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Sorry.
Okay, that does it for the South region. We're going to move on to the West region. And we're going to go to the 1 seed, the champions of the Big 12, the 32-2 Arizona Wildcats. In their 5th consecutive appearance, they are looking for their 3rd consecutive Sweet 16 appearance. They are taking on the 16 seed, the champions of the Northeast Conference, the 24-10 Long Island Sharks, returning to the dance for the first time since 2018. And they have never won a first-round game before. Is this going to be a clean sweep for Arizona, y'all?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a clean sweep for Arizona.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
this one,
Pretty standard.
this one is one that I am so intrigued by. We have the 8 seed, an at-large out of the Big East, the 24-8 Villanova Wildcats, shockingly returning to the dance for the first time since 2022. I didn't realize that when I did my notes here. They lost to Kansas in the Final Four that year, and this year they'll take on the 9 seed, the Mountain West champion, Utah State Aggies at 28-6, making their 4th consecutive appearance, though they have not advanced past the first weekend since 1970. And in fact, guys, they are 2-19 in their last 21 first-round games. And given that I'm giving that stat, I'll start us off on this one here too. I'm going with Villanova. History would tend to be on my side with this one. Carter, where are you at with this one?
This is a game that really kind of had me scratching at my chin for a while, but I'm gonna go with Utah State here. Surprisingly, Villanova. These teams are just so close. That's one thing I really want to point out. Looking through kind of their numbers here, BPI rank Villanova 36. Utah State 34, both 15-5 in conference. The one thing that kind of strikes me, though, is that Utah State has just got a little bit more offensive power in their scoring. Villanova has not been what they used to be in past years, and I think Utah State is going to come out with the 9-8 upset, if you call it here.
Steve.
This one is awful close. I think for either team, I think this will be a collective agreement in the next round as well. I think either team, whoever comes out the victor, is going to immediately drop off a cliff. For that reason, I'm going to give the fighting chance to the higher seed. I am going Villanova on this one.
Okay, Nate, would you like to tie it up with Utah State, or are you going to give Villanova the win?
And Utah State's one of those teams I feel like I wish they got a little bit higher of a seed because I think they could have made some noise, but because I really like what they have both sides of the ball. But I think it is what they have is enough to get past Villanova to take on Arizona in the second round. Yeah.
And Asher.
I said kind of toward the beginning of this that it was a down year for the Big East. But I'm picking another Big East team to advance here. Give me Villanova to move on to take on Arizona.
So Villanova will move on to take on Arizona in the round of 32. Let's move on to our 5-12 here in the West region. We have the 5 seed, the at-large out of the Big Ten, the Wisconsin Badgers at 24-10, making their 3rd consecutive appearance. They have not advanced past the first weekend since 2017. As they take on the 12th seed, the Big South champion, 30-4, High Point Panthers, making their 2nd consecutive appearance, having lost to Purdue as a 13th seed last year. And I'm going to go with Nate to start this one off.
Again, High Point was none of those teams in my Cinderella article. This is a team that has the makings of going on a run. They have everything on offense. They got the pace. They got the free throw shooting, getting there as well. They got just everything that you would like to see. Unfortunately, they just ran into the worst matchup possible in the Wisconsin Badgers in their offense, led by Nick Bird. And I just think Wisconsin's just anybody else, unless anybody else, I would have High Point. But here I got Wisconsin.
Steven, are you staying in Big Ten country, or do you like the Panthers?
I'm staying in the Big Ten. The levels that the High Point Panthers are going to have to jump through to take down Wisconsin are going to be a few too many. I think Wisconsin has this one.
So Wisconsin jumps out to the 2-0 lead with the 3 former triple option guys still left on the board. Callback for those that may know that one. I'm going to force my triple option partners to make a decision here on this one because I'm taking High Point in this one. I like the upset here. Listen, last year High Point was a very popular upset pick. People clocked them, and it didn't work out. It was the high upset pick that everybody liked that didn't work out. That always happens. Here's a couple stats that I'm going to try to sway Asher and Carter with. High Point is the 5th winningest program in all of college basketball since the 23-24 season. They sit behind the likes of Duke, UConn, Houston, and Florida. For Wisconsin, how about this stat? They are the 5 seed this year. They have lost their last 5 games as a 12 seed, or as last 5 games when playing a 12 seed. That is, as a 5 seed. They lost to James Madison as a 5 seed in 2024. They lost to Oregon in 2019. And they lost to Ole Miss in 2013. So the 5-12 matchup historically has not been good to Wisconsin. Carter.
Oh, Clay, you didn't have to sway me at all. I do appreciate. I do love more of those stats. I'm really high on this High Point team as well. Last year, I was right there with them too. I thought that was going to be a big upset team. But one notable person I think that people have probably heard of from High Point, Chase Johnston. A lot of people know him because of that crazy stat of him only taking 3-pointers all year. Last year, whenever I volunteered at the Big South tournament here in Johnson City, I've seen this guy get hot. And I tell you what, if this guy gets hot in a tournament game, it could definitely project High Point over that Wisconsin team.
And not just that, Cameron Fletcher had an unbelievable Big South championship game with like 17 points and 19 rebounds at 6'7", 225 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
If he rebounds like that against Wisconsin, it's going to be really tough for Wisconsin to hang with the offensive ability of High Point. Asher, you are forced to break the 2-2 tie here. Are we going to pull the 12 over 5? Did I sway you?
No.
Did I sway you? No?
Yeah. Wisconsin has one of the best backcourts in all of college basketball. I think they can go on a little bit of a run in this tournament. I really do like High Point. They are a very good team to provide an upset in this kind of tournament, in this kind of situation. I just think Wisconsin, with the guard play that they have, is such a bad matchup for them, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to go with the Badgers to advance. As much as I would love to pick High Point, they just got a bad matchup.
All right, moving on to the next matchup, the 4 seed, the SEC champion Arkansas Razorbacks at 26-8. They are making their 4th appearance in 5 years. They are a perfect 8-0 in both first round and second round games. They are 2-2 in Sweet 16 games in that stretch. They take on the 13 seed, the Big West champions, the 24-8 Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, back in the dance for the first time since 2016. They are 1-5 all-time in first-round games. That one win was back in 2016. The last time they were in the tournament, they took down California. Steven, are we dancing in Hawaii?
We are not, because of one man, Darius Acuff Jr. I think he is everybody's sneaky good NBA draft selection in this upcoming NBA draft, and I tend to agree with them, which will result in Arkansas going very far in this tournament. At least in my head, I'm taking Arkansas in this game. No shade to Hawaii at all. I think they've got a great little team there. Darius Acuff is going to roll them over.
Asher.
I'm going to go with Arkansas to win this game. They're a very, very good team. Brazil, as their big man, is a guy who kind of goes under the radar because of a lot of the attention being on Darius Acuff. So I think Arkansas controls this game and wins pretty easily.
Nate, is it the 3-0 start for the Razorbacks?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. I mean, Acuff is just to handle. He's just personally one of my favorite prospects coming to this draft class, and I think that's just too much for Hawaii personally. Yeah, Arkansas.
And Carter, would you like to disagree with everybody?
No, I think
It's a clean
John
sweep for the
Calipari.
Razorbacks. Okay. Go ahead, Carter. Finish.
I think Calipari's finally made his way out of finally gotten away from Kentucky, and he's going to get himself back into his groove here.
Okay, moving on to the next matchup, we have the 6th seed, the at-large out of the Big 12, the 23-11 BYU Cougars, led by the nation's leading scorer, A.J. Debanza, taking on the 11 seed, the at-large out of the SEC, the 19-14 Texas Longhorns. Now, we do need to shout out the NC State Wolfpack, who Texas took down 68-66 in the play-in game last night. As of recording this, of course, NC State, the at-large out of the ACC at 20-14. Congrats on making the dance. They did not win their first 4 games. Their season is over. For BYU, this is their 3rd consecutive appearance. This is the 4th consecutive appearance they've been a 6 seed. They are 1-2 in first-round games, but went to the Sweet 16 last year. For Texas, this is their 6th consecutive appearance. They have 3 consecutive first weekend exits. The last time they won a first-round game as an 11 seed was in 1995. When they defeated the 6th seed Oregon. They have been an 11 seed, I believe, 3 times since, and they lost all 3 of those games. And I'm going to start this one off. Look, I didn't care who won Texas NC State. This is BYU for me. AJ DeBanza is going to take them as far as he can possibly take them, and for the same reason that Steven's going to have Arkansas making a run with Darius Acuff, I'm likely to have the same with BYU. Give me the Cougars in this one. Steven, is it a similar mentality?
It is. I would have looked at Texas maybe slightly differently if they didn't beat NC State by only 2 points. This is a BYU win.
Nate, is there any SEC bias in you in this one?
Well, I looked at this matchup, and what is should be an offensive game, but the most notable thing with BYU is still going to be about Richie here. And with Texas, they got 4 guys that averages 13 points a game, while BYU, I love AJ, obviously, and they got, I think Texas having a little more depth on that department might be enough, in my opinion. Just slightly, I got Texas.
For those counting at home, Nate is picking the 11 seed in 3 of the first 4 11-6 matchups. Asher, would you like to agree?
I'm not going to. I like Sean Miller as a coach coming over to Texas from Xavier, but I just don't think they're good enough to take down this BYU team. Now, BYU likes to have really bad first halves, and especially in this tournament, that can kind of kill you. But I think they'll take care of business. I think we could potentially see DeBonzia go on a run like we saw Steph Curry go on with Davidson. He's that good.
And Carter.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with them. I think a star player is going to carry their team as far as they can possibly go, and I feel like that's definitely this sort of year and this sort of tournament with AJ.
Okay, moving on, the 3 seed, the champions of the West Coast Conference, the 30-3 Gonzaga Bulldogs, who have not missed the tournament since 1998. They have not lost a first-round game since they lost to the 10 seed Davidson in 2008. They take on the 14 seed, the champions of Conference USA, the 21-13 Kennesaw State Owls, who are back in the dance for the first time since 2023. They are 0-1 in first-round games. But as you can recall, they were Division II for quite some time. They have a 2004 Division II national championship to their credit. And I doubt 2004 metrics help us in 2026. But Nate, do you like an upset in this one?
No. Sorry. I got Gonzaga. I got Gonzaga here.
Asher, do you like an upset for the Owls here?
No.
Neither do I. And Carter, Steve, is this a clean sweep for Gonzaga?
It sure is.
Okay, we will move on to the next matchup. We have the 7 seed, the at-large out of the ACC, the 25-8 Miami Hurricanes, taking on the 10 seed, the at-large out of the SEC, the 20-12 Missouri Tigers for Miami. This is their first appearance since 2023. Their last 2 runs, they made an Elite 8 run or higher. Prior to that, though, 2 first-round losses in 17 and 18, and that trend, 2-2, has continued for Miami over the past, this quarter century, if you will. And for Missouri, this is their 3rd appearance in 4 seasons. However, they are 2-7 in their last 9 first-round games. Carter, we're going to start with you on this one.
I think this Miami program has just really, really turned itself around from last year. Jai Lucas, the new head coach, honestly, as a Duke fan, I think he should have been ACC Coach of the Year for what he's done to this program. And I think they're just going to keep riding off this high season that they're having. They're going to knock off Missouri, give them yet another loss here in the first round.
Nate.
Well, Missouri is just coming into this tournament kind of stumbling in a way. They started off 8-0 finished 14-12 and entering this tournament on a 3-game skid. I got Miami here.
Asher, would you like to show some love to some other Tigers out there in the realm?
I think so. If I'm not mistaken, this game is in St. Louis, right?
Yes, it is in St.
I mean,
Louis.
Yes.
Basically a home game for Missouri. I think they've been more tested with the teams that they faced throughout. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy when Miami's in the ACC. I'm an ACC fan, but I think overall the SEC's talent pool from top to bottom is better than the ACC. I think Missouri's more tested in this game. And as long as they don't turn the ball over, they struggle with turnovers really bad. If they can play a clean game, they can take care of business here in advance. So I'm going to go with Missouri to advance.
Stephen, through the years, you and I have put each other in interesting tiebreaker scenarios with our NFL mock drafts. Would you like to throw it back to old times and put me in a tiebreaker by taking Missouri here?
I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to spare you on this one.
I was going to throw up the U. I was going to throw up the U if you were going to do
Yeah,
that.
I'm going to spare you on this one. I'll pick the U, a person early. I think Asher is absolutely right. If Missouri can limit turnovers, they have a much better chance. I just didn't like their chances to begin with. Give me Miami for this one.
And I'm going to say this. I think Miami might be a little underseeded.
I
think
second
they
that.
very well could be underseeded in this tournament. And our final matchup in the West region, the 2 seed, the Big Ten champion, 27-8, Purdue Boilermakers, who haven't missed a tournament since 2014, looking for their 3rd straight Sweet 16 appearance. They take on the 15 seed, the champions of the Atlantic Sun, the 21-13 Queens U Royals. This is their first ever and only appearance, as they will consolidate with Elon University in the fall. Nate.
Well, amongst all the 15 or even 16 seeds, Ethan, Queens, I think, has the best chance of an upset. And if there were to be an upset, it would be right here. I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen. They have almost all that kind of upset magic, but I got Purdue. Purdue is just too hot right now. Coming up with a championship in the Big Ten, I got Purdue here.
And I knew Nate had Queens in his Cinderella article, so I wanted to give him an opportunity to talk about Queens, but I feel like all of us are going to pick Purdue in this game. Would anybody like to disagree?
No.
No, but shout out Queens.
Yes.
This is really big for them. This is a really big moment.
All right, moving on to our final region, the Midwest region, starting it off with the top seed in the region, and at large out of the Big Ten, the 31-3 Michigan Wolverines, making their 2nd consecutive appearance. How about this? 6 straight first-round wins, 6 straight Sweet 16 appearances when they have been in the NCAA tournament, 6 in a row for first round and 6 in a row for the Sweet 16. They are taking on the 16 seed, the champions of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, the 24-10 Howard Bison. Do quickly want to shout out the UMBC Retrievers, the champions of the America East Conference, 24-9. This year they lost to Howard 86-83 in the play-in game. Guys, this is a clean sweep for Michigan, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This could
Perhaps-
borderline be a squash match.
Perhaps my favorite game of the first round. I'm really excited about this one. This is my favorite region of the entire tournament. I can't wait for this region. The 8 seed, and at large out of the SEC, the 22-10 Georgia Bulldogs, making back-to-back appearances for the first time since 2001-2002. They are 1-6 in first-round games this century. They are taking on the 9 seed and at large out of the A-10. The A-10, a 2-bid league this year, with the 28-5 St. Louis Billikens wrapping up the 9 seed. Their first appearance since 2019. St. Louis, 6-2 in first-round games all time, but they have not gotten out of the first weekend in the modern era. That is post-1970. And so I'm going to start with Asher on this one, I think.
I think St. Louis has been on kind of a skid lately, and I tend to lean toward the power conference teams to kind of win these matchups, even though, we love upsets. It's March, but I think Georgia is a better team. Now, maybe they're on a skid too. They lost their first game of the SEC tournament, but I'm kind of concerned with St. Louis and what I've seen lately from them. So I'm going to have to go with Georgia.
I will go next. I'm going to take St. Louis in this game. I think this is an abnormally strong year for the A-10. I'm not concerned about their loss in the A-10 semis to Dayton. It was a tip-in shot that could have went either way. They very well could have been in the championship game against VCU. I think it's a very strong conference. I know I picked against VCU. I just feel like the odds are too heavy in their favor to take VCU. But I'm going to give the A-10 the nod here. I'm going to go with St. Louis to even it up at 1. I'm going to let Carter break this tie.
I'm going to side with you here, Clay. I'm going to go with St. Louis here. I think this is going to be a very, very narrow game, and probably one of the best games out of the first round. I agree with you on that, Clay. I think what's really going to set St. Louis ahead is they are just such an efficient team. Shooting from 2 and 3, they're one of the more efficient teams in the country, and I think that's what's really going to set them up and above Georgia. This is, in my opinion, no more than a 2-point game. It's going to be 1 or 2 points at the final.
All right, Steve, you chose not to put me in a tiebreaker scenario. Are you going to put Nate in a tiebreaker scenario and pick Georgia here?
I am. Do not be distracted by Robbie Avila and the memes. Pick Georgia for this one.
All right, Nate, this is your first tiebreaker of the night. Who you got? Do you like the stats of St. Louis, or do you think we're all overthinking it and Georgia's the right pick?
This is quite literally a coin flip type of matchup. Before tonight, this quite literally before a couple hours ago I had Georgia, but looking at it over again, I changed my pick, and I went with St. Louis.
Okay, St. Louis it is. The 9 seed advances. We will move on to our next matchup, the 5-12 here in the Midwest. We'll start with the 5 seed, the at-large out of the Big 12, the 22-10 Texas Tech Red Raiders, making their 7th appearance in 8 years. They are 5-1 in that stretch in first-round games, and they made the Elite 8 last year. They are taking on the 12th seed, the champions of the MAC, the 29-5 Akron Zips, making their 4th appearance in 5 years. They are looking for their first ever NCAA tournament win. They are 0-7 all-time, and their games, they have only been within 10 points twice in those 7 games, 1986 and 2022. But Nate, you like this Akron team, don't you? Are you pulling the upset?
Akron has, like I said, 4 recipes that a Cinderella team needs to have, I think. They have Tavar Johnson, who is a top 30 guy in terms of scoring. They have a guy in Samad Scott who is capable of taking over a game with his 3-point shooting. And they have one of the better coaches in the league, to be honest, Bowman coach. And then adding in Texas Tech, they're going to be about J.J. Toppin, obviously, but also Kristen Anderson is coming off of an injury in the ACC in the Big 12 tournament. He's likely going to play, I think. But factoring all that in, I do have Akron moving on.
All right, Steven, would you like to even it up here?
I am going to go Texas Tech on this. Usually for March Madness tournaments, there is always one team. It's never a specific seed. It's never a specific look on a team based purely off of vibes. I run a team into the ground. I run them as far as they can possibly go. Not all the way to the championship all the time, but maybe a little farther than they should go. This year, I have determined that Texas Tech is my team, that I am going to run much farther than they should. Texas Tech wins this one.
Asher, are you a favorite of this 12-5 matchup for the upset?
You know, we'll talk about Alabama Hofstra here in a second. I honestly kind of wish the matchups were switched and it was Hofstra taking on Texas Tech and Akron, Alabama. That way I could go with Akron to upset Alabama. But I do not think that Akron, even though Texas Tech is banged up, I still think they're very well coached, and I think they take care of at least this first-round matchup and take down the Zips.
All right, Carter, you're going to be in a position where you can force a tiebreaker on me. Are you going to do it?
I am gonna do it because I really, really like this Akron team. They're a very winning team over the last few years, almost a 30-win team at 29-5 on the season. But one thing that's really, really sticking out to me here, and I'm getting this off the little bracket builder app as I keep up with you guys. Since 1985, there has been at least one 12 seed to upset a 5 seed in 30 out of the 40 or 34 out of the 40 tournaments, and we have not picked a 12 seed upset yet in this bracket. And I think that this is that upset right here. I really think the Zips come out here and catch the Red Raiders on their heels.
Okay, Carter, in that stat, you mentioned the numbers, and it's not a foregone conclusion that a 12 seed is going to upset a 5 seed. And I picked my 12-5 to be High Point over Wisconsin. I'm still with that one. And I had Akron over Texas Tech initially. But there's two things that I saw on social media that changed my mind and why I'm picking Texas Tech. First of all, Texas Tech's Christian Anderson, with his groin injury, will be available to play in the NCAA tournament. He averages 18.9 points per game. Stephen, you talked about if their best player is out, can they win? Well, they're going to have probably their best player. But get this, guys. This year, Akron is 0-4 against teams ranked in the top 125 of the KenPom stats. Texas Tech is not just in the top 125. They are a top 20 team in the KenPom. Now, it doesn't factor in injury, but we just talked about the fact that Texas Tech's best player is going to play. I got Texas Tech in this one. Those numbers are too much to overcome for me. I like the Red Raiders. Okay, we're going to move on to the next matchup. We have the 4 seed, the at-large out of the SEC, the 23-9 Alabama Crimson Tide. They are making their 6th consecutive appearance. They are 4-1 in first-round games in that stretch. They have 3 consecutive Sweet 16 appearances and 2 straight Elite 8 appearances. They take on the 13th seed, the the Colonial Athletic Association champions, the 24-10 Hofstra Pride, back in the dance for the first time, I believe, since any of us were born. Stephen, you might have been born at this time. 2001, the last time they were in the big dance, though they are 0-4 in first-round games. I'm going to get this one started off because I know that there might be some upset picks to be made here. I've got Alabama in this one. Look, it's real simple. I like what Hofstra's done. I think they drew a really bad matchup. Alabama has the one thing in this tournament. There's one thing that Alabama has that no other team has, and it's the highest scoring offense in the land. The highest scoring offense has a tendency to make a pretty deep run in March. I know Alabama's been Jekyll and Hyde, but they will have enough to beat Hofstra. No, I'm not worried about Aiden Holloway not being with the team. That doesn't mean anything to me. They're still much more immensely talented than Hofstra. I have Alabama. Asher, I know you were kind of teasing it. Are you going to even me up here with Hofstra?
No, I'm going to go with Alabama to win this game. I think, like you mentioned, unfortunately, they're without one of their better players due to some off-the-court circumstances. But I still think Alabama is going to be able to outscore about anybody in the nation unless they come up against someone who can really defend the guard play. And I don't think a team from the CAA is going to be able to do that. Give me the Tide.
Stephen, is the absence of Aiden Holloway going to play a factor for you here? Do you like the Pride? Are you prideful in the Pride?
I'm not. It feels bad. I'm not. I think Alabama gets out of this game scot-free, and truthfully, it doesn't matter who wins the Texas Tech Akron game. I have them winning the next round against Alabama, but they will get past Hofstra here.
Okay. Carter and Nate, is it a clean sweep for Alabama?
It is
Yeah.
for me.
Okay.
Me too.
The next matchup is going to require a little bit of due diligence here, guys. It is the 6th seed, the at-large out of the SEC, the 22-11 Tennessee Volunteers. And they are making their 8th consecutive appearance in the Big Dance. They are 6-1 in first-round games in that stretch. The last time they were a 6th seed, they made their first Elite 8 in school history. That was back in 2014, I believe. and they have made 3 straight Sweet 16s. They will take on the winner of the Miami, Ohio Redhawks, the story of college basketball this year, the at-large out of the MAC, 31-1. That lone loss coming to UMass in the MAC tournament. They make it into the big dance, and they are currently playing the SMU Mustangs, the at-large 20-13 team out of the ACC. And what I'm looking at right now has it at 7-all. It's very early. They just got to the under-16 timeout. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest here. For me, it depends on who wins this play-in game, because if Tennessee's playing SMU, I'm probably going Tennessee. If Tennessee's playing Miami of Ohio, I'm probably taking the Redhawks.
Really?
Yes, and I know there's been talk about Miami of Ohio having a weak schedule. They can only play the games that are on their schedule. I believe they should be in the dance. I think it's insane they got to play a first 4 game here. I'm also curious to see, like Steven talked about with Texas and NC State, what the deficit in this game is. It's really tough for me not knowing in this one. I don't know. Is there enough of us that feel like Tennessee's winning this game anyways? Because I'm undecided on this game right now.
I'm kind of the opposite of you, Clay. I think if SMU wins, I think they got a chance to take down Tennessee, who was in a way they were sleepwalking in the SEC tournament. They're a team that is very dependent on Jacoby Gillespie's scoring ability to kind of get their offense going, and I just worry that if they run into maybe, SMU wins this game against Miami, gets a little momentum, it could get tricky for them. But I think also SMU's dealing with some injuries. BJ Edwards, one of their guards, is banged up.
Former Tennessee ball, by the way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's going to be able to play. I know he hasn't touched the court yet in the game. I'm not sure completely on his status, but I think I'd be more inclined to lean SMU if they win that game, but it's kind of tricky not knowing how that game plays out. So I think the safe call is Tennessee, at least in this first game.
Carter?
I kind of agree with Asher here. I think Tennessee takes care of Miami, Ohio, but I think SMU is just a really fast-paced, intense team that can get on a roll real quick, that can give Tennessee some trouble. I think if SMU wins their game tonight, they upset Tennessee.
Steve?
I like the upset. Tennessee doesn't scare me as much as they have in previous years. I don't think it matters who wins.
Okay. Nate? You and I are the resident Tennessee fans in here.
As a Tennessee fan watching this team this year, I'm not as high on them this year. I mean, they're relying on 2 guys on offense with Emmett and Gillespie. Emmett's hot. The team can win, but if he's cold, they're gonna lose most likely than not. They're a great offensive rebounding team, but they can't put it back in the bucket. They're not as good defensively sound as they will have been in years past. But yeah, Miami. I don't know. I hate these kind of matchups. It's kind of like, I currently have them picked, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost at all. To be honest, to either this team, I just don't like Tennessee's roster. Pretty much like Missouri in a way. They kind of just, I don't know.
Well, some of us like Miami, some of us like SMU. I think for the purposes of this as it stands right now, seeing that the game is currently in progress, you actually see it on your screen there. I think the safe play is to take the 11 seed, though you guys know our opinions on that. And when we finalize this bracket tonight, I'm sure the 5 of us will decide in our chat what we're going to ultimately go with. But I'm just going to say this right now. It does not affect the second round for me.
No.
So, Steven, if you want to go ahead and just click on the 11 seed as it sits right now, I think that's our current opinion on this. And we're going to move on to the next matchup, which is an interesting one for me. We have the 3 seed, the at-large out of the ACC, the 29-5 Virginia Cavaliers, Virginia making their third appearance in 4 seasons. And since their 2019 title, they have lost 3 straight first tournament games, I should say. In 2024, they lost in the first 4 to the 10 seed Colorado State. In 2023, of course, they lost to the 13 seed Furman. And they also lost in 2021 to the 13 seed Ohio. This year, they are a 3 seed taking on the 14 seed, the Horizon League champion, 23-11 Wright State Raiders, making their first appearance since 2022. Wright State is 0-4 in first round games all time, and all of those losses by 17 points or more. I think that's an interesting matchup because Virginia, it's been a minute since they've won a first round game, but Wright State has never even made it close in their first round game. I'm riding Virginia in this one. I think they're playing really good basketball lately. They were really strong in the ACC tournament. I know I set that up to potentially be an upset, but I'm going to take the Cavaliers in this one. Would anyone like to advocate for Wright State?
No.
I don't think so.
No, yeah.
Okay, well, the next matchup, we have the 7 seed, the at-large out of the SEC, the 21-13 Kentucky Wildcats, making their 5th consecutive appearance. They made it to the Sweet 16 last year for the first time since 2018 before losing to Tennessee in the Sweet 16. And they take on the 10 seed, an at-large out of the West Coast Conference, the first time in a long time that the West Coast Conference has 3 bids. The 26-8 Santa Clara Broncos making their first appearance since 1996. Santa Clara 2-2 all-time in first-round games. In 1996, their last tournament appearance, they were a 10 seed, and they beat the 7 seed Maryland. Steven, start us off.
I like those odds. They're fun odds for Santa Clara. Kentucky doesn't quite have the spice that a lot of us are used to seeing from their overall team. I think Kentucky ends up another team like Alabama. They win one and then hit a brick wall in their next game. Give me Kentucky for this one, but don't be surprised if I pick the other team in the next round.
Nate.
Well, you got Kentucky's just coming into this tournament a little too shaky, and Santa Clara's offense is pretty damn electric, and so I think I got Santa Clara in this matchup.
Asher.
I'm going to go with Mark Pope and the Kentucky Wildcats to win this one. I think they're very similar teams in their play style, which makes me lean for the power conference team with the more talent. Now, Kentucky has kind of been without their 2 best players for a majority of the season, or at least one of their best players for a majority of the season. They've been banged up, and they're still having some success. Big win against Missouri in the SEC tournament, falling short to Florida in that game, but saw a lot of fight out of them. I'm going to go with Kentucky to advance.
Santa Clara feels like one of those teams where it's too good to be true. But Kentucky, they are just too Jekyll and Hyde for me. I'm going with Santa Clara. Carter, you're stuck in the tiebreaker here.
I love a good upset, boys. And something about this Santa Clara team, I don't know if it's Kentucky's history with the round of 64. I don't know if maybe the new head coach is going to power them through and get over that hump. But I don't maybe, but not this year. I'm rolling with the Broncos and Santa Clara for the upset.
Look, I think there's a legitimate argument to be made here that Santa Clara is just a better team than Kentucky this year. They've been so Jekyll and Hyde that you just can't figure Kentucky out. Mm-hmm. Now, talent-wise, probably not. But when talent is different than team, right? There's different factors at play for both. I think Santa Clara is a better team this year. When Kentucky lost to Oakland a couple years ago, Kentucky was the better team and the better talent, and they still lost. So that's how I feel about that. And our final first-round matchup, and then we'll rapid-fire the rest of the tournament. The 2 seed, the at-large out of the Big 12, the 27-7 Iowa State Cyclones, steady as ever, making their 5th consecutive appearance. They have 2 Sweet 16 appearances in that stretch. They have alternated, making it to the Sweet 16 and not making it this year. Yes, they would make the Sweet 16. They take on the 15 seed, the champions of the Ohio Valley Conference, the 23-9 Tennessee State Tigers, making their first appearance since 1994. They are 0-2 all-time in the NCAA tournament. Guys, I'm going with Iowa State here. They're just a steady team to me. I think it's a clean sweep.
Yep.
Right.
Ken
Yeah,
Palm likes those guys.
Time. Let's
That's
wrap. Let's be real.
Let's go
Iowa
on.
State has been one of the best teams in the country on
Yeah.
offense. They've been known for their defense over the past few seasons, but offensively now they're able to keep up with that great defensive play, and they were ever so close to taking out the eventual Big 12 champions in Arizona in that tournament. They're a good team. They're going to advance.
So we have Duke and TCU, the 1 seed versus the 9 seed in the round of 32. And we're just going to rapid fire these picks. I've got Duke.
I've got Duke.
I got Duke.
Yep, should be Duke. All right.
Okay, I feel like there's going to be all kinds of contention here. The 5 seed St. John's, the 4 seed Kansas. We're going to go one by one, but rapid fire, Steve.
St. John's.
Kansas. Carter.
St. John's.
Nate.
St. John's.
Yeah.
Kansas, but St. John's gets it.
All right, moving on to the next one. South Florida, the 11 seed, Michigan State, the 3 seed. Nate, kick us off.
USF.
Carter.
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Steve.
USF.
Asher.
Sparty.
All right, 7 seed UCLA, 2 seed UConn. I'm going to start us off with UConn. Asher.
UCLA.
Carter.
The Huskies.
Steve.
UConn.
Nate, were you going to pick UCLA?
No, UConn.
Okay.
Brutal.
All right. Florida, the 1 seed. Clemson, the 8 seed. Asher.
Florida.
Nate.
Florida.
Florida. Carter.
Florida.
Steve, is it a clean
Give 'em.
sweep?
Give it to him.
All right, the 5 seed Vandy, the 4 seed Nebraska. Neither of these teams have ever been to the Sweet 16. One of them's going to get there. And I think the better team this year will be determined in a minute. Carter.
Vanderbilt.
Steve.
Vandy.
Asher.
Vandy.
Nate.
Duke Miles.
Vandy's a clean sweep to the Sweet 16. I like it. All right, 11 seed VCU, 3 seed Illinois. Starting it off with Nate.
Illinois.
I'm going to go Illinois. Steve.
VCU.
Carter.
VCU.
Asher.
I'm going to go with the, last year we had the Crab 5 at Maryland. We're going to go with the 4 and 5. I actually don't know if their whole starting lineup is foreign players. I know a majority is. Give me Illinois.
Okay.
All right, the 10 seed Texas A&M, the 2 seed Houston. I'm not going to pull any punches here. Give me Houston.
Houston.
Way too consistent of a team. Steve's got Houston. Carter.
Houston.
Nate. Asher. Anyone? Either of you got Texas A&M?
Houston.
Houston.
Okay. Over to the right side of the bracket, we have the top matchup, Arizona and Villanova. Listen, this is a Wildcat bout in this one. Wildcat v. Wildcat. I think Arizona's the better cat in
May
this.
the best Wildcat win.
Give me Zona.
Oh, yeah. Going Arizona.
Zona.
Asher.
Zona.
Zona. All right, here's the fun one. Got the backcourt of Wisconsin, the 5 seed, and Darius Acuff, the 4 seed of Arkansas. I already know where this one's going to sit on a couple occasions. Steve and I are going to start Arkansas 2-0 here. I would venture to bet, and I'm going to have Asher go next for Wisconsin. I would assume, right?
Yeah, Wisco.
All right, that means it's Carter and Nate. I'm going to go with Nate.
Wisconsin.
Oh,
Oh.
Come on, Carter.
Carter.
Nick Barrett for the win, baby.
I just think one team has a much better coach, and that is Arkansas.
Yes.
That's
Here
right.
it is. Okay, 6 seed BYU, 3 seed Gonzaga. Nate, kick us off.
The Zags.
Asher.
BYU.
Carter.
You go with the Cougs.
Steve.
Debanza runs out of time. Gonzaga.
Oh.
But I'm going to extend it into overtime. A little March magic. Give me BYU. I'm going to break the tie for BYU. I kind of teased it, when we went through the first round. I said he's going to take them a pretty far way. 7 seed Miami, 2 seed Purdue. Ooh, Carter.
I had high praise for that Miami team and how well that they've been playing. And I think we all know how Purdue really does underneath the bright lights. Give me Miami to upset.
Ooh. Steve.
I like the Miami upset too,
Nate.
I'm an upset guy, upset king, but Purdue.
Asher, would you like to even it up and put me in another tiebreaker?
I am going to go Purdue, and I didn't get to mention this earlier, but shout out to Braden Smith, who's going to break, I think, the all-time assist record in this tournament. So, Purdue.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
And I said it when we did the preview. They are looking for their 3rd straight Sweet 16 appearance, and Braden Smith will get them there. I'm going to take Purdue in this one. The 1 seed Michigan, the 9 seed St. Louis. I had high praise for this St. Louis team, but I'm going to start us off. Michigan. I'll talk more about them here in just a second. I got Michigan. Carter.
Yeah, Michigan.
Nate.
Michigan.
Asher.
Michigan.
M.
Yaxel
All right.
board, baby.
Oh,
The 5 seed Texas Tech, the 4 seed Alabama. Asher, start us off.
Oh, man. This is a tough one. This is going to be a high-scoring, fun game, I think. Even though Texas Tech kind of slows things down, they're still a good offensive team, but Bama. Why not?
Carter.
Texas Tech is one of those teams that have really just kind of never given up throughout the entirety of the season. And they're one of only 2 losses to Duke on the year. I remember watching them that game. They were down almost 17, battled all the way back, took a 1-point win. I think that's how this game goes, and Texas Tech comes out on top.
I'm going to go with Alabama to give the Crimson Tide a 2-1 lead. Nate, are you going to force Steven into a tiebreaker?
I had Akron in this matchup previously, but they're out of here. So,
Does Steve have to force into a tiebreaker here?
I'm going Tech.
All right, Steve.
All right. It's tech time, baby.
Ooh.
I love you, Akron.
Love you, Akron. Miss you.
Never forget you.
All right. We have currently the 11 seed. We don't think it really matters who it is between Miami of Ohio and SMU. We think they beat Tennessee in the first round, which Miami of Ohio does have the 7-point lead as it stands right now. But I don't think it matters. I'm going to start this one off. I like Virginia. They're coming into the tournament hot. I think they're looking to quell the taste of their last 3 first-round losses. They'll do so by getting to the Sweet 16. Carter, are you with me on that one?
I am, especially in that ACC championship performance. That's probably one of the best games Virginia's played all season. If they can just keep that momentum, I think they'll ride into the Sweet 16 as well.
Steven, are you a dissenting opinion?
I am. Give me whoever comes out at number 11 to take this one by surprise.
All right, Asher, the ball is in your court. Are you going to force Nate into a tiebreaker?
No, Virginia. They're much better than any of those 3 potential teams.
Okay, the 10 seed Santa Clara, the 2 seed Iowa State to wrap up the round of 32. We're going to start with Nate on this one.
Iowa State.
Steven.
Iowa State.
And I will go with Iowa State, so they will move forward. Carter, Asher, any dissenting opinions there?
No.
No.
Okay. Moving on to the Sweet 16, we'll go back to the top left side of the bracket, where it will be Duke and St. John's, the 1 versus the 5. Listen, I had Kansas in this matchup myself, but I'm going to let the guys go first. Let's go with Steve first on this one.
I don't think it would have mattered if Kansas was in this game. It's going to be Duke.
Carter, starting 2-0?
Yeah, I think Duke just has the more talented roster overall. Despite the injuries they're kind of facing, they got a little bit of depth too.
Nate.
Duke. Give me Duke.
Duke's going to move forward. Now, I will say I had Kansas in this matchup against Duke, and I had Kansas beating Duke.
Interesting. Okay.
So that is kind of a look into that side of the bracket for me. And then we have the 3 seed Michigan State and the 2 seed UConn. And I sat on this matchup for a long time. I originally had Michigan State in this one, going all the way to the Final Four. But then I remembered that Michigan State struggles to get to the Final Four. January, February, March, Izzo helps to a certain extent. But when you run into Dan Hurley, it's just too much of an ask. Got UConn in this one. Asher, are we keeping the Izzo theme going? Yes, we are. 1-1. We're going to have Nate break the early tie.
You know, I had USF in this matchup anyway, but I had them losing anyway. How about UConn?
All right. Carter, are you going to put Steven in the tiebreaker?
I am, just because I think UConn has shown some flashes of struggling in the bad games this year. Dan Hurley's lost his cool a little bit too much than we are used to seeing, and I think that Izzo is going to be able to control his team more throughout this game.
All right, Steve.
Here's what I need. I need a prime Izzo experience. Give me Sparty.
Ooh. They move on. All right. Florida, the 1 seed against the 5 seed Vanderbilt. This is a rematch of the SEC tournament semis where Vanderbilt absolutely ran Florida in that game. Carter, we're going to start with you.
I think Florida's going to come into this game with a chip on their shoulder and look to get their get back, and they'll do it here in the Sweet 16 and knock Vanderbilt out.
Asher, do you disagree?
No, Florida.
Nate, do you disagree?
Sorry, Duke Miles, but I got Florida.
Steve, do you disagree?
Florida's got this one.
It is a clean sweep for Florida to the Elite Eight. Next up, we have the 3 seed Illinois against the 2 seed Houston. I'm going to make this real simple. Houston. The consistency of Houston is so good.
UH.
I like Houston.
Yeah, Houston.
Setting up in the Elite Eight, by the way, setting up a rematch of last year's national championship game.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. The 1 seed Arizona, the 4 seed Arkansas. Steven?
Acuff walls them off, dude. Give me Arkansas right here.
All right, I'm going to even it up. I like Arizona in this game. I think over the course of the season, they have proven that they are the best team in college basketball. We'll see just how much that means in March, but in the regular season and through their conference tournament, they were the best team in basketball, in my opinion. Season start to season end. So I'm going to even it up at 1. Carter, would you like to disagree with me and simp for your Duke Blue Devils, if you will, and say that Arizona falls right here?
I think they do. I think Arizona, looking at these 1 seeds, I think they are the first one out of this tournament, and they fall to Calipari and the Razorbacks here.
All right. Asher, are you going to put Nate in the tiebreaker?
I am. Arizona's one of the deepest teams in terms of full talent. They got great bigs, great guards. They're deep, and they got a good coach. Give me Arizona by a mile.
Nate, is Darius Acuff and John Calipari enough to beat this deep, loaded, vaunted Arizona team? Who you got?
Give me Bryce James and the Arizona Wildcats.
There you go. Bryce James.
Bryce James.
You just reminded me there. I completely forgot.
All right. We have the 6 seed BYU led by A.J. Devansa and the 2 seed Purdue. And let's start with Asher.
Give me BYU to continue this run. Mormon madness continues.
Steve.
It's Mormon Madness time. If they had gotten here and played anybody but Purdue, I might give the other team the edge, but BYU's got this one.
Nate, would you like to give Purdue a vote?
Gonzaga in mind, but hey, give me AJ Devanza.
Okay. Carter, who do you have in this one?
I was going to take BYU as well.
I have a clean sweep for BYU in this game.
Purdue's going to kill them now. Great.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn.
Oh, yeah.
That's cooked. We're so cooked.
Oh, well. Let it ride.
All right, the 1 seed Michigan, the 5 seed Texas Tech. Steve.
Worst possible outcome. for my Riders this year in Texas Tech. Worst possible team to face, worst possible outcome. It pains me to say it, but the ride stops here with my ride team. Michigan's a little too good for this spot in the tournament.
Carter.
I'm right there with them. Michigan's been one of the more dominant teams since the very first tip-off of the season. I think they're going to be just a little too much for Texas Tech here.
Asher.
Michigan.
Nate, were you going to take Texas Tech?
No,
Okay.
no, I got Michigan.
I have Michigan as well. Okay, the 3 seed Virginia, the 2 seed Iowa State.
Iowa State.
I am going to, well, okay, Asher's going to start us off. He likes Iowa State, pulling no punches on that one.
Yeah.
Nate.
Iowa State.
All right, I'm going to make it 2-1. I'm going to take Virginia in this one. I like the dissenting opinion here. Look, Iowa State's a great team. I would not be surprised if this game went either way. But I'm going to, for the sake of being devil's advocate, I'm going to pull Virginia. Look, they're coming in pretty hot. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to roll off a national championship. But it can be a kind of an indicator of a potential deep run, and I'm going to buy it at least for now, and I'm going to take Virginia to the Elite Eight. Carter, would you like to join me on that train?
I will join you. I mean, I've seen some really great basketball out of Virginia, especially as of late. They've got some really, really good perimeter defense as well, perimeter and interior defense especially. I think they're just barely going to edge out Iowa State right here and make a little run.
Steve, you're the tiebreaker.
Let's just see if Iowa State can't blow Virginia away. Give me Iowa State. Iowa State in this game.
Okay, moving back to the East Region Finals. We have the 1 seed Duke and the 3 seed Michigan State. This is not the matchup that I have. I have the 4 seed Kansas and the 2 seed UConn. Boys, have at it. Nate, start us off.
In memory of Duke Miles, give me Duke.
Asher, bring us back.
Oh, Duke.
Steve.
The Izzo magic has to end. It ends here. Duke.
You know, I said I picked Michigan State to the Final Four initially. I'll be the dissenting opinion in the sake of this, mainly because I don't have either of these teams, and I would have UConn over Kansas. So in that notion, I would take Michigan State over Duke. Carter, are you riding your Dukies to the Final Four?
Absolutely.
Probably don't call them that.
Dukies. No, you pick Michigan State?
No, I'm picking Duke.
Okay. Yeah. All right, a rematch of last year's national championship in the South Region Finals. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Stone cold are the Houston Cougars. I have them winning this game. Steve.
As you should. Give them to me again. Houston.
Carter. The national champions go back to the Final Four.
I think they do.
Okay. Asher, would you like to side with Carter, or are the Cougars headed to the Final Four again?
Well, this game's being played in Houston. That's
Ooh.
a fun little fact. So give me Houston.
Nate, would you have picked Florida?
Oh, I got Houston as well.
Okay, 4-1 Houston.
Give me them.
The 1 seed Arizona, the 6 seed BYU. Asher, start us off.
I think this is where the depth of Arizona gets and ends this Mormon madness. Give me Arizona.
And I will make it 2-0 for Arizona. Steven, would you like to break the seal for BYU?
I can't do it.
I know you have Arkansas in this game. I know you do. But
I do. I've got them going decently far. Arizona's gonna get to them.
Did you have Arkansas or BYU, by the way?
I had Arkansas.
Okay.
I have
I don't hate
Arkansas
it.
going Final Four.
That is our West Region Final. And our Midwest Region Final, the 1 seed Michigan and the 2 seed Iowa State. I have Michigan and Virginia. I'm going to let Nate start this one off.
Give me Iowa State.
Asher.
This is a tricky one. Do I want to make it all 4 ones? Or wait, no, we pick Houston. I'm losing my mind. I mean, this is going to be a phenomenal game if we get it. But give me Michigan.
Carter.
The Cyclones to upset. No, wait. Is that the wrong one? No, that is right. Never mind.
No. I'm just. Who did I ask first? Did I ask you first, Steve? Or who did I ask Nate first? And Nate said Iowa State. So it's down to me and you, Steve.
Yep. And you know.
Well, here's the deal. Steve, I'm really intrigued to see where your head is at with this because, you brought up the one player that I think is going to prove why Michigan is as good as they are. We know Michigan has the depth to go this far. That's the first thing you got to have. You got to have a pretty deep bench. Your guys get into foul trouble. You might suffer an injury or a nagging injured hamstring or something like that, or an illness while you're at the hotel. But the other thing that is required for a team to make a deep run is a clutch, consistent shooter. And there may not be a better one in college basketball than Yaxel Lindeborg. I am tying this up 2-2 with Michigan. I cannot pick against Lindeborg in tight games, and that's what this one's going to be. It's too unwise not to take Lindeborg.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Keep Michigan rolling. Michigan's moving on.
This is no slight to Iowa State.
No,
This is just
not even
mad
a little
respect
bit.
being given. This is just mad respect being given to Lindeborg. All right. We're going to start this one off and keep Carter in suspense a little bit. We're going to stay on the right side of the bracket. The 1 seed Arizona and the 1 seed Michigan, which I think, wire to wire have been the 2 best teams in college basketball this year. Duke a close third, certainly. This one is remarkably tough. You're asking yourself which conference has been a bigger challenge this year, the Big 12 or the Big 10. I would be inclined to say the Big 10. I'm going to think on this one just a little bit more. I'm going to start this one with Nate.
Okay.
This is a remarkably difficult choice.
I'm going to go with Bronny James Brothers team.
Arizona. All right, Steven, does the magic of Yaxel Lindeborg land them in the national championship?
Yes, it does. Yes,
We are tied up at 1. Asher, you're breaking the early tie.
Oh, golly, this game would be oof. This is why we pick these brackets, games like this right here. Give me the depth of Arizona.
Carter, are you gonna, for the fun of this, gonna put me in the tiebreaker, or are you going to put Arizona in the championship game?
We're going to the tiebreaker here because time and time again, Michigan has just been a dominant team throughout the entirety of the season, and I think that this is just going to be another game where they step up.
Well, it may have been all smoke and mirrors from me off the jump, which is why I defer to the boys on this one. There is one thing that separates these 2 teams, and we get a look at what these teams can do in March in the conference tournaments. Michigan did not win their conference tournament. They lost to Purdue. Arizona did win theirs. I'm taking Arizona to the championship game. Okay, on the other side, the 1 seed Duke and the 2 seed Houston. Starting us off, Asher.
I'm going to go with Houston to get back to the national championship for a second consecutive season and pull off the upset over Duke.
Carter, are you taking your Duke Blue Devils all the way?
I am. I'll never forget last year closing up at Texas Roadhouse, watching us lose that game to Houston and thinking, man, if we couldn't do it with Cooper Flagg, I really don't know how we can. And then Cameron Bouger came along. So I think he's going to pull through here, prove why he is the best player in the country, and send Duke to the national championship.
Nate, you are breaking the early tie.
Okay. Well, man, I've been wanting Houston to win a championship for a couple of years now because I like Calvin Simpson so much as a coach. But Cam Boozer, I like Cam Boozer a lot too. I think he's definitely one of the best players in the country, and I think I'm gonna go with Duke then this year.
Oh God, how do I want to play this? Because I know where my head is at with it, but I don't know where Stevens is. How do I want to play this? Oh God.
You want to make it easy? You want to get put in the hot seat again?
Are you gonna go Houston?
I'm going Houston.
Okay.
You want to get in the hot seat? Get in it.
Yep, I'll get in the
You're
hot seat.
searing, baby.
I wanted to be in the hot seat. I sit here and I look at this, right? The very first college basketball game I watched this year was an exhibition game between Duke and Tennessee, and Duke blew Tennessee's doors off. Now, that doesn't mean anything for where we are in this tournament. I watched Cameron Boozer play. He is a great player. Do not misunderstand that, and this is a very, very good Duke team. And they are certainly capable of getting to the Final Four. And, I could even be convinced before the games start tomorrow to take Duke over Kansas in the Sweet 16 and take Duke to the Elite Eight. I don't think I could pull the trigger for Duke over UConn, but I kind of just feel that way about Duke. But it's Houston for me. It's that team, man. I'm with Nate. I really like this Houston team. I've been wanting to see them win a championship for a long time, and that's going to lead us into our championship game picks, and your host is going to lead it off. This is a Big 12 final, by the way. Houston and Arizona both in the Big 12. Many would say that the SEC may be a better conference. Big 10 may be a better conference. But we have two Big 12 teams in the finals. And by the way, this is my final. By the way, I had Houston over UConn and Arizona over Michigan. So this is my personal championship. And I'm taking the Houston Cougars to cut down the nets this year. This would be the third year in a row that I have correctly predicted the champion, and the second time of 2 tries correctly picking a team from Texas, as I picked Baylor to win it back in 2021, and they did win it. Those are the only 2 times I've ever picked a Texas team. I'm going to take the Houston Cougars to win it. Nate, are you going to jump on the bandwagon with me?
Do I go to the team that I want to win? Do I want to go to the team I want to win this, or do I have a team that's probably the better team here?
We want the gut feeling.
Because I have neither of these teams winning right now. Because I got neither of these teams winning it at this moment in time.
What is your championship game, by the way?
So,
What is your championship game?
Duke, Arizona.
Duke, Arizona?
Duke.
And you had
Still
Duke winning it.
Yeah, still up in the air, though. Since... Why not? Let me go Houston. Therefore, you get the city of Houston a taste of what a championship tastes like.
2-0 start for the Cougars. Asher.
Do it for them.
Asher, are you going to give Arizona a nod?
We just saw this game, and it took Houston having to fight back from a pretty large deficit to get back into it. I don't think Arizona would blow a lead in a championship game with it all on the line like that. Give me Arizona.
All right, it comes down to Steven and Carter. And you two have both put each other in the hot seat before, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to make Steve make that call. You going to put Carter in the hot seat?
I am. I'm going to do it. Arizona has the deepest team. That's going to really matter. But boy, is it going to be close. I can almost guarantee this is going to be less than 5-point win differential. You could put money on that.
Oh, boy.
So here's Carter's conundrum, because Carter probably sits here and thinks that Arizona's the best team between the two. But he also knows that based on the way we've done this, Houston takes out his Blue Devils. So he's in a tough spot on this one.
It's true.
I'm just thinking, because the one thing that really sticks out, it's really hard to beat a team twice and 3 times in a season. We've seen Arizona take these wins over Houston, but man, is it hard to continue to just beat a team, especially one as high level as Houston. And Houston has been right there for so long that I think they finally get the job done in this matchup, and they just barely edge out Arizona in the national championship and get their title.
I like it. All right. So we have the ability to do this a couple different ways, and it looks like on the one that we're using, it's a final score. The app that I have is a total points, which I had set at 157 is my total points scored. I don't know how you guys feel. Me, Carter, and Nate taking Houston, Steve and Asher. Why don't Steve and Asher, since they lost the vote, why don't you two work together to give us a final score?
All right, Steve, you give the winning number. I'll give the losing number.
Okay. Let's see what we've got here. We are going to go 68 points for Houston.
I'll make it fun and go 67 for Arizona. So it's a close game.
For all our Gen Alpha fans, wherever you are.
I didn't even. Oh.
All right, Steve, go ahead and type it on in there so the folks know that we aren't going to go with something different later.
Right, we're going 68 to 6. No.
Finish bracket and complete your second level sports official bracket.
There it is.
I like our picks. We had some upsets in there. We didn't go all the way chalk. This is a good little bracket. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a nice accruement of points.
And look, if you made it this far, first of all, thank you for sticking with us this far, because this is about a 2-hour stream. But we knew it would probably be something similar to that before we started this. But I want to mention, for those that think we're just simping for the high seeds, all 1 seeds made the Final Four last year. It's not absurd to think that could happen again this year. The 1 seeds are really, really strong this year. I have, let's see, what did I have in mind? I had 2 seeds and 2 1 seeds in mind. So to finish this off, we'll go ahead and each go over our Final Four and our champion. For me personally, I have Houston over UConn and Arizona over Michigan, and then I have Houston defeating Arizona. Steve, what was your Final Four that you put together?
I had basically all the same teams that you did, but I had Michigan taking the whole thing.
Over and they defeated Arkansas in the Final Four because you had Arkansas taking Arizona out.
Yes.
Carter, what was yours?
I had Duke over Houston and Arizona over Michigan, Duke over Arizona in the championship.
Nate?
Duke and Houston bracket. And then Arizona and Iowa State on that side of the bracket. Then Duke and Arizona meeting up in the championship. This one I've been pretty much tossing back and forth a while now. And I've actually changed my pick in the past couple minutes to Arizona. That's how much of a coin toss it is to me right now.
Yeah.
But now it's Arizona. It's tough.
Ironically enough, there's a couple of games I was really I did not have my bracket pulled up for this. I was I wanted to kind of just look at things again and see how much I differed. But I had Duke playing Houston, Arizona playing Iowa State. I had Duke beating Houston, and I had Arizona beating Iowa State, and then Arizona beating Duke in the final.
Okay. And, I'll throw this in here too, and this is where we'll finish, because March is all about the madness, right? That's why we call it that. And I'll start with you on this one, Steve, and I'll round us out. Which region do we think will be the craziest?
I think our easiest region to be the craziest is our favorite friends down here at the bottom left of the bracket. These guys right down here: Virginia, Iowa State,
Bottom right,
Tennessee, Texas Tech. These guys down here in the Midwest.
Asher, where is your chaos at for the most part?
I kind of agree. I just don't think it's going to be that chaotic of a tournament. But if I had to say, it's got to be that Midwest region.
Nate, where's your chaos?
Probably Midwest. Yeah, between them or the East, but really just because of USF, but really overall, I think the Midwest.
Carter.
I think in the southern region, I think that there's definitely some upset potential here for some madness. Don't count out McNeese, don't count out Troy. Those are both really good teams. We had talked about VCU over North Carolina as well as Penn. Penn, you never know about them.
Yeah, I think, in the first round, most of my chaos is in the Midwest. But my long-term chaos is in the East region, mainly because I have Duke going out in the Sweet 16 as it stands right now. I have a 4 and a 2 getting there, so it's not that crazy. And actually, when you think about it, my West has a 6 seed making the Elite Eight. So that's kind of a thing. And I feel like a lot of us have BYU in the Elite Eight again this year. For the second year in a row, by the way, that would be for BYU if we are correct on that. But guys, look, this was a fun thing, and we're going to have to turn around and get this out tomorrow. Steven, thank you for all your hard work on that.
We
brother.
got this.
Good
baby.
luck. Good luck,
I do not
Steven.
envy that. I don't envy
No,
that. I am sorry to say, but
See if we can't
Steven-
earn that $1 million that they're definitely going to give us and not give to a casino if we get this bracket right.
and you know what? I don't feel like we had a crazy number of upsets, and that's what can get you in a lot of trouble. I think our biggest challenge is going to be getting the 8, 9, and 7, 10s right, but we really don't have any 1s or 2s going out early. We think the 1s and 2s are pretty strong as a whole this year, so I don't know. I think we should have a pretty good bracket all around. It won't be perfect. It's just too hard to do that, but I think we'll have a pretty good percentage when all things are said and done. As it stands right now, in the play-in game, Miami of Ohio leads SMU 43-34 at the half. For those with interests in Big Orange Country, which all of us are in Big Orange Country right now, so that'll be an interesting one worth watching the rest of the way. But that's going to do it for us here on the Second Level Sports Podcast. Next week, we'll talk a little World Baseball Classic, I think, wrap up on that since we focused on March Madness here. And maybe, just maybe, we'll finally let Asher out of